Hello my friends, welcome to another Star Wars Unlimited video. Today, I'm finally going to start reviewing some cards. Now, I know that I haven't done any card reviews in the past, I don't believe, not on Star Wars Unlimited at least, and I've always wanted to, but I just for some reason would never make the time. I'd let too many stack up and then I'd feel overwhelmed and be like, nobody's going to watch a super long video, but I'm going to get it started now, and we already have quite a few cards, but we're just going to start going into it. And we're going to start here with the leaders that are so far shown to us. So here we've got Asajj Ventress. What is this? A 6 deploy leader. A 6 deploy leader that can also be a pilot. Action, deal 1 damage to a friendly unit. If you do, deal 1 damage to an enemy unit in the same arena. Pretty interesting, and she can deploy on 6 as either a 4/6 with grit or as a pilot upgrade onto a vehicle that gives +3/+4, and the attached unit is a leader unit. It gains grit, and on attack you may deal 1 damage to a friendly unit, and if you do, deal 1 damage to an enemy unit. So just like her front side action, it does it on attack. We're used to seeing this. She has grit. I mean, I'm not overly excited about it, but it is some fun space that we don't have in a leader yet. The deploy, I can understand them not wanting to make her a 4/7 with grit, because that can get crazy, I think. So I can understand the one less point of health. And yeah, I don't know. As a pilot, I'm not sure how impactful that will be, dealing 1 damage to a friendly unit and then 1 to an enemy unit in the same arena. But you know, a lot of the times combat math is 1 damage off, and so Asajj might be able to do an extra damage. I don't know. My rating is, I don't know. Doesn't seem bad though. Doesn't seem bad. Ooh, this one was today's Grand Admiral Thrawn in blue villainy. When you use a when defeated ability, you may exhaust this leader if you do use that ability again. Now, it was confirmed this doesn't work for bounties, because obviously if it did, then that would just make Bosk like not exist anymore, essentially. This would be so insanely busted. It'd be crazy. Just the whole game long, every bounty you place is a double bounty. It would just be so insanely crazy. So, obviously, yeah, that is not a thing. He does deploy on 6 as a 4/7, kind of the classic stats we see a lot on 6 deploy leaders. And then it just puts that same ability right here on here. You only get to use it once each round though, which makes sense because there's probably some crazy shenanigans that you'd be able to get up to if it just let you do double when defeated abilities unlimited times in a turn. So it makes sense. Both sides do that. I'm excited. In other games, I've been an enjoyer of double on defeat triggers, so I'm excited to see that here with Thrawn, and also just blue villainy. I'm definitely a blue villainy fan. Yeah, I think it'll see play. There's some cool stuff that you'll be able to do. There's some when defeated triggers that we'll probably go over at some point when I go over some synergies after we get more cards, and I can tell you what I'm excited about. But there's plenty of cool blue cards. There's even cards in this set already with solid when defeated triggers that Thrawn will be able to do double of, and I think it's gonna be strong. I'm gonna try to go faster here too. We have Lando, a 7 deploy leader that deploys as a 5/7 with Sentinel, or as an upgrade that is +5/+5 and gives the unit Sentinel. And also, when deployed as an upgrade, you can give a shield token to a unit in a different arena. So if you equip Lando to a ground vehicle, you can give a shield to a space unit. Put him on a space vehicle, you can put a shield on the ground. But on the leader side here, pay 1 and exhaust him. Play a unit from your hand, and if you do, and you control a ground unit and a space unit, give a shield token to a unit. So you don't have to give it to the one that it is, but yeah, it seems like just another different type of Luke or Kira effect to give a shield. It's paying 1 once again. It's just a different hoop to jump through. It's nice that if you have a unit in space already and you have nothing on the ground, the unit that you're playing, if it's a ground unit, then it's fulfilling that condition of you having a space and a ground, and then you can give it to whichever one this shield to whichever one you think is best. 7 deploy leaders, pretty difficult to do well with them, but there is a combo that I think I know what they really are planning, the way they imagine you're supposed to use Lando. And yeah, and when we get to the card, I'll come back here and show you what we're talking about. Admiral Piet. An action, play a capital ship from your hand. It costs 1 less. I think he's great. I think anything that cheats is insane. Obviously, resource cheating is crazy. He's a 5 deploy, 2/7, and then on the leader side, it's just passive that each capital ship you play costs 2 less now. So it's not just once per turn you get 1 discount, but now it's all of your capital ships have cost 2 less now. I think that he has to be good. I just think he has to be good. Even if we didn't get new capital ships, I think he'd be good. But we're getting a lot of capital ships, so I think he's going to be great. Yeah, I never really went onto a rating scale. Yeah, I don't know. If I'm gonna go from 1 just for fun and make it annoying. We're gonna go from 1 to 7. How strong they might be. Asajj, it's nice that I did a 1 to 7 scale because I can just straight up just go with 4s for right in the middle. I don't know. She seems like a 4, but there's a chances we don't see her, but who knows. Grand Admiral Thrawn, I think he's gotta be, I just feel like he has to be a 6. 6 out of 7, possibly. And Lando might end up being a 3. Could possibly, who knows? It's really hard to say with, like I said, we don't have all the set. But right now he's about a 3 out of 7 for me. But it could surprise me. Maybe he'd be a 5 out of 7. Admiral Piet, I feel like, might actually be 7 out of 7. Like, I think he's going to be crazy. All right, Wedge, Antilles, Command, Heroism. I should, say more of the details here for anybody who's just listening. Action, play a card from your hand using piloting. It costs 1 less. And he deploys on 5, and you can deploy him as a leader or an upgrade. As a leader, he's a 3/6 with no effect. As an upgrade, he's a +3/+4. With the on attack, the next pilot card you play this phase costs 1 less. So you can play your pilots as units or as actual pilots piloting a vehicle, and either way they'll cost 1 less on attack. But on the other side, it's only if you play them with the piloting mechanic do you get the discount. It's interesting. There's some interesting pilots that are in this set that cost 1. And so they're essentially 0 in a Wedge deck. It could possibly be something. And I don't think most people probably won't be deploying Wedge as a 3/6. If they do, it's probably in game 2 and 3 if they suspect upgrade removal coming in. What do I rate him? Once again, I see the potential, so 4 out of 7. I see potential 4 out of 7. Nothing crazy for me though. All right, Boba Fett's got a million words on him here. Once again, the balanced Boba Fett's deploying on 6 as a 4/7 with no effect, or if you deploy him as an upgrade, then it's +4/+4 and deal up to 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of units. So you get a little overwhelming barrage built into deploying Boba Fett as an upgrade. I think it's going to be great. I think it's got to be, it's probably at least 6 out of 7. And on the normal leader side here, it just says when you deal non-combat damage, so from an event in your hand or from indirect damage, it says you may exhaust this leader. If you do, deal 1 indirect damage to a player. If you don't know, indirect damage is unpreventable damage that your opponent assigns among their units and their base as they choose. And I do believe that it works like an overwhelming barrage type effect, where if they have like 3 different units, they can just put with, you know, like say you're deploying Boba Fett here, you're dealing 4 damage. They could be like, let's do 1 to the base, 1 to this unit, 1 to that unit, and 1 to this other unit, you know? That's like how indirect damage would work. Fortunately, the Boba Fett deploy is not indirect damage. It's just the leader side here, just giving you some bonus damage. I think he's probably 6 out of 7. Admiral Akbar, the famous It's a Trap captain here. He's a leader. He's a 6 deploy, and he's a 3/8. On the leader side here, action, pay 1 and exhaust him, and then you can exhaust a non-leader unit, and if you do, its controller creates an X-Wing token. So you can exhaust your own and make a token for yourself, or exhaust your opponents and make a token for them. And on the leader side, or the unit side, I should say, a 3/8 with that ability on attack, but with no, you don't have to pay anything, just the on attack. It seems interesting, and there are other cards that they have in this set that are intentionally synergizing with Admiral Akbar. It is cunning themed, it seems, with trying to do some type of trick here, stuff that's obscure and odd, and maybe you have to find a path to get the extreme value out of it. I really don't know if it's good. I feel like if it's good, it's only good if the It's a Trap card actually does for some reason end up being good. Very specific situations, maybe where you use sneak attack to get out a huge ship early, attack with it, and then use the It's a Trap to re-ready it and attack again, and the Admiral Akbar leader would be facilitating your way to be able to use the It's a Trap card. You'll see that when we get to it, but I don't know. I'm gonna personally rate it 3 out of 7. Yeah, Admiral Akbar gets a 3 out of 7 from me as far as like how strong he is. He could surprise me. But from first impressions, 3 out of 7. And then we've got the Han Solo Never Tell Me the Odds here. Cunning Heroism, action, reveal the top card of your deck, then attack with a unit. If the revealed card and the unit have different odd costs, the unit gets +1/+0 for this attack. So the nice part about this is you get to reveal the top card of your deck, and then you can choose which of your units are attacking. So then the revealed card and the unit can be the different odd costs, and then it gets +1 for the attack. I think it might, I mean, if we're able to build the odd costed deck like this wants to be, it could be solid. Getting to potentially get +1 power on an attack every turn. And what's nice about this is this effect doesn't make you attack a unit. So yeah, solid. And deploys on 5 as a 3/7, which are nice stats. We like those stats these days. But as a vanilla, unless you deploy him as an upgrade, and when deployed as an upgrade for each friendly unit or upgrade that has an odd cost, ready a friendly resource. So we're getting some banned Boba Fett type of vibes here, where you're getting the flip turn of Han Solo as an upgrade can refund you some resources. And I think that you're probably going to be able to get at least 2 every time, which is pretty solid. If you get more, it's going to be pretty crazy. If you can set up that tempo turn, it's probably pretty good. Can I even say, maybe I'll say it's 6 out of 7. I'm not sure if it might be 5 out of 7, but I'm going to say that it might exceed my expectations and go up to a 6 out of 7. I think somebody's going to be able to make it pretty crazy. All right, so those are the leaders. Now let's get to the units. All right, and events and upgrades, all the other stuff. Yes, Director Krennic here. This one was also revealed today. I'm so hyped about this. A 2-cost, 2/2 Vigilance Villainy shielded unit. So it's a Crafty Smuggler or an L3 for blue villainy, and he has a passive effect. The first unit you play each round as a when defeated ability costs 1 less. So there's a little bit of some synergy here with the Grand Admiral Thrawn, the blue villainy one, where he wants to play when defeated units and double their effects, and the Director Krennic will let you play them for cheaper. Lots of cool stuff to do here. Lots of cool stuff. In an Emperor Palpatine deck, you can play this on turn 1. On turn 2, you can play a Super Laser Technician and defeat the Super Laser Technician to deal a damage and draw on the same turn. Pretty cool stuff. I think it's man, the card looks so cool too. I'm just gonna rate this a 7 out of 7. We already know Crafty Smuggler and L3 are solid cards. Shields are great, and this bonus passive ability, it's 7 out of 7. I think this card is awesome. Next, we have Onyx Squadron Brute. It's a 2-cost, 2/3 blue villainy spaceship with the when defeated effect, heal 2 damage from a base. This is awesome. I am so excited. I am a little bit of a Blue Emperor player, and I'm excited to play a Darth Vader unit, and I'm excited to pull out an Onyx Squadron Brute and a Salacious Crumb from my Vader deploy. And then Salacious Crumb's going to heal me 1 then. And then next turn, the Onyx Brute is going to heal me 2. Oh, just the little bit. Just getting a little bit of that healing, and especially in Emperor, I think is super cool. I think this card's... I'm going to give it I think this card is a 6 out of 10. I think it's so good, especially for the blue villainy control. Super stoked. Next, we have Banshee, a 5-cost, 4/5 ship that is blue villainy. It's a separatist ship, so that matters with Duke, who can play this for 3, which is pretty good. And it has on attack, you may deal damage to a unit equal to the amount of damage on this unit. It seems like it's kind of for Asajj, like a Asajj can deal damage to it, and then when you attack, you can deal another damage. Just that little trickle of damage. I'm not sure how impactful that can be, but in a Dooku deck, playing this on turn 2 is pretty good. But like many people have said, Devastating Gunship, you'd rather play Devastating Gunship most of the time, and that's probably true. Banshee, I think it's gonna just get a little... It's probably a 3 out of 7. It's probably a 3 out of 7. Might even be 2 out of 7. Fleet Interdictor, a 7-cost, 6/6 blue villainy spaceship. It's an Imperial capital ship. It has Sentinel, and also has when defeated, you may defeat a space unit that costs 3 or less. So the Admiral Piet leader can play this after it's been deployed. Just deploy it. You get, this is a capital ship. Play it for 5 instead of 7. That's pretty solid, and it's a Sentinel, a 6/6 Sentinel in space. The Clan Saxon Gauntlet is a 6-cost 4/5 in space with Sentinel, though it can grant upgrades, +1/+1 experience to units when it gets attacked. But this is awesome. It's Imperial. It's got Sentinel. It's a capital ship. Discounts as when defeated, so Krennic can also allow you to play it cheaper. You could play it for a lot cheaper if you have Krennic on the board, and you've got Admiral P as leader. I think this card's pretty solid. I don't think it's crazy, but I'll give it a 5 out of 7. Cassian Andor, a 3-cost 3/4 vanilla blue heroism unit, but he's got piloting for 2-cost that is a +1/+3 upgrade, and while it is attached to a unit, the unit gains on attack, discard the top card discard a card from the defending player's deck. If that card costs 3 or less, draw a card. It seems okay. The piloting stuff is going to be very hard to estimate what the value is on it. I feel like they could have made him a 3/5 vanilla. If they made this a 3-5 vanilla, I would say, yeah, I would give this probably a 6. I'd probably give this a 6 out of 7. If it was a 3-5, but with that, I don't know. It's pretty middle of the road for me. 4 out of 7, I think. Gold Leader, here we go. This is the card I was a little bit teasing about earlier. Gold Leader is a 6-cost spaceship that's 5/5 and shielded, and has the passive effect while this unit is defending, the attacker gets -1 power. So this is what I think they're trying to do with Lando. I think really what they want you to do is in the Lando deck, you play Gold Leader, it's shielded, and, you know, when units attack it, they get -1. And then the next turn, your first action is deploying Lando onto Gold Leader. It's the curve, so you go 6 into 7. And then suddenly the Gold Leader becomes a 10/10 ship with Sentinel, and it's shielded. And when units attack it, they get -1. And then you can give a shield, because of Lando's effect, you can give a shield to a ground unit, if you have any ground units out there. But yeah, I mean, a 10 cost, or a 10 power, 10 health Sentinel shielded unit in space that can attack on turn 7 doesn't sound like the worst thing I've ever heard of. It just is unfortunate that before that, if your opponent can use Takedown or Fell the Dragon or Waylay or a million things on the Gold Leader before you deploy Lando. So maybe on turn 5 you Spark of Rebellion them and you take out the removal, and then you play the Gold Leader, and then that's all I can think of. But otherwise it's quite meh. If you're not doing that, then I don't think this card will be in your deck. Academy Graduate is a 2-cost blue 1/2 Sentinel. Probably right there. I don't know. For me personally, just seems like terrible. One of the worst cards I've seen. Just a 1/2 Sentinel. I mean, I feel like it could have been a 2/2 Sentinel, right? But that's how it is sometimes in some of these design spaces. Is, I don't know. They just go a little bit too safe sometimes, I think, and I don't know. But it has piloting for also the same cost and the same stats and the same Sentinel. A +1/+2, and it gives the unit Sentinel. That part, I think, is probably fine. That part's actually probably pretty good, especially because I'm pretty sure there's an event in set 3 that like gives a unit, or yeah, there's an upgrade in set 3 that gives a unit +2/+2 in Sentinel, but it costs 4. So +1/+2 and only costing 2, that part is good. So while the normal unit side is probably one of the worst cards in Star Wars Unlimited history so far, because it has the piloting effect, it is redeemed, and it is nowhere near the worst card. So it's okay. I like this pilot guy. Super cool though. I didn't give it a rating. I didn't give Gold Leader a rating. Gold Leader is gonna be, I think, a 2 out of 7. If the Lando deck ends up being a thing, it's probably a 5 out of 7, I think. Yeah, Academy Graduate, I'll give it a semi-cautious 5 out of 7. But it could end up doing nothing, possibly. All right, we've got Landing Shuttle. I'm getting excited. Okay, so yeah, just sorry, it's a blue spaceship, 2/4. It's an Imperial transport. When defeated, you may draw a card. It's nice that it's you may, so you don't have to if you're getting milled out. But yeah, Director Krennic unit will let you play this for 2, and Thrawn will let you draw 2 cards. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, it's a blue card. The art looks cool. It's right in the middle of the road. It's probably realistically a 3 out of 7, but I'm going to give it a 4 out of 7. All right, the Invisible Hand, a 6-cost green villainy, 6/6 ship that is in space. It is crawling with vultures. It's a Separatist capital ship. 2 really strong traits here, and it has when played and when this unit completes an attack and survives, of course, because that's what when they complete an attack means. You may search the top 8 cards of your deck for a droid unit, reveal it, and draw it. If it costs 2 or less, you may play it for free. So it's some solid action compression there. There's not a lot of great droids so far that you can pull off of it, but what's interesting is there is a 2-cost 2/2 red separatist droid ship that has a when played, if you control another separatist unit, you can deal 2 damage to a base. That's awesome. Like this invisible hand can pull out a 2/2 spaceship that immediately does 2 to your opponent's base too. That's awesome. This is also a separatist ship, so Count Dooku can play this for 4 resources instead. That's pretty dang solid. Admiral Piet can play this for 5 or potentially for 4. Another solid thing there. In Twin Suns, you could be playing Piet and Dooku, and then you could play this for 2. You could play this for 2. That would be crazy. Yeah, and if you ambush with it, you get to do it twice. If you use Energy Conversion Lab, the when played, bring a droid out and attack, bring a droid out. Solid stats. I think it's solid. I'm gonna give this 6 out of 7. It might be 7 out of 7 though, but I'll give it a 6 out of 7 because it could potentially not make it. Maybe there's just really other better stuff, but I'm giving it 7 out of 7. It's sick. It's sick. All right, Nine Numb. Loyal co-pilot here. It's a 1-cost 1/2 green heroism that says this unit gets +1 for each other friendly pilot unit and upgrade. So it can be your pilots that are just on the ground, just not piloting anything, or it can be your pilots in space that are actually piloting things, or it could just be upgrades. You could have experience tokens on things, and Nub here is going to be getting +1 power. It's probably good. It's a rare. It's probably pretty solid. It just seems really weird. Hilariously, you could play like on turn 1, you could play as Kanata and then Neen Nub, and Maz will get an experience token, and then Neen Nub will become a 2/2 himself as well. So then you have 2 2/2s on that turn. That's not like anything crazy at all, but just funny. And then just stack Maz up, and then Neen will be stacking up his own power as well. But he's also piloting 1-cost +1/+2. The attached unit gains the same effect, essentially. So in Wedge, you get to play him for free. And anywhere else, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where else you fit him in, but seems okay. Maybe you sneak it onto the Falcon unit eventually. Who knows? But probably pretty solid. I'll say 5 out of 7. I'm not sure, but we'll give him 5 out of 7. Whoa. Okay. Blue Leader. Spoiler. You've probably seen some other people's reviews or anything. Maybe if you saw this on the stream a week or so ago. Yeah, this could possibly be the best card we've seen in a long time. It's very, very strong, I think. It's a 3-cost 3/3 spaceship. It's an uncommon, which is awesome. It's green heroism. It's a rebel fighter, and it has ambush. So right there, a 3/3 in space with ambush, pretty solid. But it also has when played, you may pay 2 more, and if you do, move this unit to the ground arena and give it 2 experience tokens. So it becomes a 5/5. And because of the when played and ambush also being when played, you can choose the order to resolve. So you can ambush it in space, and then after you kill the ship in space, you can pay the 2 from the when played to put it on the ground and make it a 5 whatever other remaining health it has. Or you can just play it for 5 and then put it into the ground and then ambush something in the ground for 5 power. This card is insane. This is absolutely insane. If I could give it more than 7 out of 7, I possibly would. But yeah, 7 out of 7, absolutely. Red Leader, form up. It's a 4-cost 3/4 spaceship. It is green heroism. This unit costs 1 less to play for each friendly pilot unit and upgrade. So I don't think that means pilot unit and pilot upgrade. I think it also means upgrade. I think upgrades in general. There's a chance I could be reading this wrong, but I understand it as and upgrade. And when a pilot upgrade attaches to this unit, create an X-Wing token. And that really makes me question if I'm right on the pilot unit and upgrade, if it means only pilot unit and pilot upgrades. But who knows? We'll have to find the rules when they come out, or bug a developer on social media to find out. But yeah, when a pilot upgrade attaches to this unit, create an X-Wing token. Wedge can do that on the turn you deploy this. On 4, you play this, and then Wedge will discount a 1-cost pilot to be 0, and then you get an X-Wing token, and that seems fine. Outside of Wedge, I'm not sure how strong Red Leader will be. It really is wanting you to do the pilot synergy, and you would be. It's incentivizing you in many ways, so it's probably fine. I'll give it a 5 out of 7. It might be weaker. It's hard to know, because we still get to use all the other cards we have too, and it just might not fit into a deck. Maybe I'll give it 4 out of 7. Sorry, Red Leader. Okay, we got Chewbacca, starter deck card here, Faithful First Mate, 5-cost 5/6, with the text, this unit can't be defeated or returned to hand by enemy card abilities. That is just so solid. Solid stats for a 5-cost unit, even if they're not doing anything. The fact that he's just protected from Waylay and Fell the Dragon, etc. That's so cool. That's crazy. He's a green heroism, I should mention. But he's also got piloting for 3 cost. Gives a +3/+3. And then the attached unit gains. This unit can be defeated or returned to hand by enemy card abilities. If you haven't heard about this card by now, this is definitely one of the craziest cards. Absolutely a 7 out of 7. This card is so good. Yeah, Chewbacca is insane. Next, General Draven, a green unit, 5-cost 2/5 Rebel official. When played and on attack, create an X-Wing token. What's really crazy is when I first saw this card, I thought it cost 3. And I was like, wow, this card is insane. Holy crap. A 3-cost 2/5 that when played and on attack makes an X-Wing token. Holy smokes. But then I saw it cost 5, and then I was like, okay, never mind. We maybe never see this guy in constructed, I don't think. Unless we get some ways to, like, I don't know, you're discounting him, playing him for cheaper. I don't know. That's 5 for a 2/5 to make a 2/2 ship. I don't know. I'm gonna give him a 4 out of 7 because he could surprise me. I don't know. All right, resupply carrier. Super stoked for this. Being a little bit of a control type of player. It's a 6-cost spaceship in command. 4/5 Imperial capital ship. When played, you may put the top card of your deck into play as a resource. It is literally the card resupply built into a 4/5 Imperial capital ship in space. Piet can play this for 5 or even 4, and when played, you ramp 1. You can, in a double command deck, you can play the command event and ramp, and then the very next turn play the resupply carrier and ramp, and then the next turn, deploy Palpatine. So that's pretty cool stuff. I'm a big fan of this. It's a capital ship. It's Imperial. It ramps me. When you think about the card resupply, it costs 3. If you discount this by 3, it's kind of like a 3 cost 4/5 spaceship that also lets you play resupply, and it's 1 card. I think this card is 7 out of 7 in my opinion. I love it. Allegiant General Pride, a 2 cost red black 2/3 first order official that says when indirect damage is dealt to a unit, you may defeat a non-unique upgrade on it. So you could defeat a shield, defeat an experience token. You could defeat, non-unique upgrades. So no dark sabers, no Ahsoka's sabers, but yeah. I don't know how relevant that will be, but on attack, if you have the initiative, deal 2 indirect damage to a player. If you have the initiative, yeah, this card is pretty solid. If you don't, it's a 2/3 that does basically nothing, I think, and probably just dies immediately. But it's an official, so Emperor Royal Guards, have some value there. And who knows if we'll ever get some more cards that care about us having officials that are worth playing. I didn't give him a rating. Oh boy, 2 out of 7. I don't know. Yeah, it's probably not going to get played. Unless we get first order synergy too, who knows. Next we've got Devastator. This is a legendary, an 8 cost, 9/6 red villainy. It's Imperial capital ship. It's our second Devastator we've ever gotten. It has a passive effect that you get to assign all indirect damage you deal to opponents, and then also when played, deal 4 indirect damage to each opponent. So you get to control the indirect damage, which is pretty crazy. You can use it to clean up some units. It's kind of an Emperor Palpatine unit. It's got a built-in overwhelming barrage a little bit, or it can go straight to the base. You can play it off triple dark raid. Admiral Piet leader can play it out for cheap. Yeah, and triple dark raid can play it for cheap. I think this card is gonna be absolutely insane. This is a 7 out of 7 for me personally. Absolutely crazy. Red Squadron Y-Wing, a red heroism rebel fighter in space, a 1/3 with the on attack ability, deal 3 indirect damage to the defending player. Yeah, Gray Squadron Y-Wing is back, but as Red Squadron. But it kind of has, it's better. It's better, I think, because it does 1 extra damage. And that's the difference sometimes, because before the other one didn't really see play because it would deal, if you attacked them in space, they would put the 2 damage on a ground unit that's not going to die. But 3 damage will kill a lot of things. So they might have to actually put 1 of that damage to their base. And then this is kind of just a 2/3, which is fine. We've already been playing some 2/3 rebel ships, but now there can be bonus situations where maybe they don't have units on the board anymore, and now this is essentially going to base for 4. So it's probably fine. I'll give it a 5 out of 7, but it's not overly impressive to me, but 5 out of 7 seems fine. Now we've got Droid Missile Platform. It's a separatist droid vehicle transport. It's aggression. 3 cost 4/2 in space. With the when defeated effect to deal 3 indirect damage to a player. So the Admiral Thrawn leader can double this effect, so deal 6 indirect damage to a player. This could also get a discount from the Krennic unit and only cost 2. Seems pretty solid. Dooku can play this card for 1. Also seems solid. I don't know. The new invisible hand can search this and add it to your hand. They won't be able to play it, but add it to your hand. I don't know, 4 out of 7. I might be the boring middle guy. 4 out of 7 for me. Hunting Aggressor. This is a 4-cost aggression unit in space. It's 3/6 underworld transport. And it just says indirect damage you deal to opponents is increased by 1. So just +1 to all your indirect damage. The Boba Fett, the new red Boba Fett leader probably likes this because their leader ability does indirect damage plus by 1, and then this makes it 2 essentially. So it doubles it. The thing is, any effect that takes you from 1 to 2, you got to think about how it's doubling the effect, and that's pretty good. Doubling effect is pretty good a lot of the time. So, and these stats are actually, in my opinion, pretty crazy for space. I'll give this a 5 out of 7. I think the Hunting Aggressor is 5 out of 7. Underworld has some Cad Bane synergy too. Zygarian Starhopper. This is a 2-cost yellow villainy 2/3 Underworld fighter in space. With the when defeated effect, deal 2 indirect damage to a player. Once again, new Admiral Thrawn can double it, and Krennic can discount it. There's going to be some cool stuff, I think. Also, just Cad Bane doing this is good too. It's an Underworld unit. I'll give this a 5 out of 7. All right, now we've got Bosk unit. A 4-cost 4/4 with an on attack, exhaust the defender and deal 1 damage to it if it's a unit. I don't know if they really needed to make it be if it's a unit. This could have attacked the base for 5 and everything would be totally okay. But it also has piloting, a 2-cost cunning villainy piloting +2/+2. The attached unit gains the on attack, exhaust the defender and deal 1 damage to a unit. I don't know, it seems quite meh. I like the art on it, it's pretty good. But I don't know, man. I think it's a 3 out of 7 for me. Yeah, the normal Bosk is so much better, and you just pay 1 more. But piloting effect, I don't know. If you need to pilot, I don't know. It might be a 2 out of 7, but we'll say 3 out of 7. Anakin Skywalker, I'll try spinning. This is so cute. Love this. 2-cost 2/3 yellow heroism that also has piloting for 2-cost +2/+3. And he has the Force trait. He also has Fringe trait. Also has Pilot trait. And when piloting, it says when the attached unit completes an attack and survives, you may return this upgrade to its owner's hand. So there are some tricks you can do with the red leader unit back there, where the red leader, when you play a unit on it, you get to make a token, and in Wedge you can make the playing a unit cost 1 less. So you could play Anakin on the red leader, and then it becomes a 5/7 that can attack. And then after it attacks, you return it to the hand, and then you play it again on red leader, and then you get to make 2 tokens. That's pretty cool. Who knows how good that is? But it's just a 2-cost Force unit too. Just a vanilla 2-cost 2/3 Force unit. I think he's probably gonna surprise us, and I'm gonna give him a 6 out of 7. Anakin Skywalker. I'll try spinning. 6 out of 7. Blade Squadron B-Wing. This is a yellow heroism spaceship 3/3 rebel. And it says when played, if another player controls 3 or more exhausted units, give a shield token to a unit. So you can give it to this one, you can give it to one of your other units if you want. It's just when played. It's a rebel. They have to have 3 or more exhausted units. Fortunately, it doesn't say 3 or more exhausted space units or some crazy stuff. But it's still pretty hard for them to have 3 units. This was spoiled with Admiral Akbar, since Admiral Akbar can exhaust your opponent's units and give them spaceships. So they're like trying to put this in there, I guess. And then you give this a shield, and then it can maybe kill one of the spaceships. I don't know. I'm not really excited about it. I think it's pretty meh. It's probably a 2 out of 7 for me. Now we've got the second home one ever on my mark, a 9-cost 7/8 cunning, heroism, rebel capital ship that says and it has ambush. And it says if an opponent controls 3 or more space units, this unit costs 3 less to play. So once again, Admiral Akbar making your opponent X-Wing ships so that the home one can come in for 6 resources and ambush and kill something. And then maybe the next turn, they only have 2 left, so you can attack their base for 7, and then you use the It's a Trap card to ready home one again, and then hit them for another 7. Who knows? It's a legendary. I really don't know. I really think this probably could have cost 8 by default. And then I'd be able to say this is sick. If this cost 8, I might even be able to say 7 out of 7. I might, but at the very least, I'd be able to say 6 out of 7 if this cost 8 by default, because then you could play it for 5 with the ambush, and that would be pretty good. And then if you don't have the synergy, paying 8 for it isn't the worst thing ever, because we already have just a green 8 cost 7/8 ship that has ambush, and then when it kills something, it ramps you. So this would have to cost 8 for me to be excited, unfortunately. So I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 7. Very sad. Independent Smuggler, a 1 cost 1/1 with raid 1. Remember when I mentioned a card being like the worst card I'd seen? This might also equally be. I think we're gonna get a lot of 1 cost pilots in like every color that are just absolutely trash on the ground. But it has piloting for all of the same effects. It gives the attached unit raid 1. It also is a +1/+1. If there's some big payoffs, some big synergies, and like Wedge, lets you play this for 0, so that's pretty solid. That's where this will be. Otherwise, you just don't see this card ever. And they probably had to make a solid amount of pilots for draft stuff too, just to synergize probably. So that's really what this is for. Otherwise, pretty bad. I'm gonna give the Independent Smuggler 2 out of 7. But if Wedge ends up being a thing, I don't even know if he'll make it. But if he does, he's probably a 4 out of 7 in there. The Death Space Skirmisher. It's a yellow spaceship underworld fighter 3/3. When played, if you control another space unit, you may exhaust a unit. It actually doesn't sound like the worst thing I've ever seen. Like Django could do some interesting stuff with this. It does exhausting things and is a spaceship. Also, Cad Bane could just do stuff with this. You could exhaust a unit and then Tarkin Town the unit because it's underworld. But there's so many good cards, and we're probably going to get even more. I'll cautiously give this a 3 out of 7. It could be a 4 out of 7, but 3 out of 7 for me. Fetz Fire Spray, the second Fetz Fire Spray we've ever gotten. It's just a villainy card. It's a 4 cost 4/4 in space, underworld transport. When played and on attack, deal 1 indirect damage to a player. And if you control Boba Fett as a unit, upgrade, or leader, deal 2 indirect damage instead. So when played and on attack, you deal 2 damage. And the thing with Boba Fett leader, the new one, the red one, is that kind of essentially turns it into 3 indirect damage, because when you play this, you're going to be dealing non-combat damage, and then the other one, the leader unit, will exhaust and do 1 more. So I think this card is actually pretty solid. 4 cost 4/4 in space isn't really a stat line we've seen, but it's probably good. I'm actually gonna give it a 6 out of 7. I think it's pretty good. Which sounds like I'd give it a 5 out of 7, but I don't know. All right, this card right here is a card that makes me really excited for reasons that you probably don't care about. This is just a villainy 4 cost 3/4 ship. It's Shuttle ST-149 under Krennic's authority. It's an Imperial transport. It's shielded, and it has when played and when defeated, you may take control of a token upgrade on a unit and attach it to a different eligible unit. So you can steal shields, you can steal experience, and that's all that we have of token upgrades so far. But it's pretty cool. Just generically, as a 3/4 shielded ship, it's not the worst thing we've ever seen. I mean, we've played 7th Fleet Defenders that for 3 cost that are 3/2s. What's nice is it does cost 1 more, but now it doesn't die to Perilous Position or make an opening or Snoke, and is shielded still, so it's pretty solid in my opinion. We'll give it a 5 out of 7. We'll give it a 5 out of 7, right? But the reason I am excited for this card is this is a Rogue One card. This is, I believe, Krennic going to visit Galen Erso. And I don't know why, but I want a Galen Erso card so bad. I don't know. That actor and that movie is so good. And this scene, and this art too, is so sick. Please, FFG, give me Galen Erso in this set, please. And thank you. Yeah, 5 out of 7. Quasar TIE Carrier, a 6-cost 5/7 Imperial capital ship. It's just villainy. And on attack, create a TIE Fighter token. It's pretty cute. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem terrible, but you know how it is. Once we start getting into the 5-cost and higher units that don't do something right when they are played, it can be challenging to fit them in your deck. Because we have a lot of solid cards that do make it into our deck that have impact on the board immediately. And so I just don't know. Fortunately, the Admiral Piet can play this for 4, can play this for 5. If the Quasar TIE Carrier sees play, I feel like it's got to be in an Admiral Piet deck. And the cool thing that they did here that I appreciate is that with it just being a villainy unit, you can put it in any villainy deck. So that's cool. You can triple dark rate it. You can use it with Piet. I think that's pretty cool. Rating, I'm just going to give it a 4 out of 7. There's probably better cards to put in your deck, but yeah. All right, here we go. Another Millennium Falcon, the 3rd one. Kind of the 4th one if you count Gold Leader. And yeah, get out and push. It says a 3-cost just heroism, 3/4 Rebel Transport. So it's a Rebel Millennium Falcon. Here we go. And it says you may play or deploy 1 additional pilot on this unit. And this unit gets +1 for each pilot on it. So you get to, in Wedge, you can play Millennium Falcon and then immediately play a 1-cost pilot on it. And then the Millennium Falcon is at the very least going to have 5 power there because it's giving itself +1 power, and then the pilot's likely giving it +1 power. And then the pilot's also giving it most of the time +2 HP. So then it's not going to get, takedown's not going to hit it. And depending on the upgrade, Fell the Dragon. No, actually Fell the Dragon will always kill it because it's going to give itself a buff up to 5 at least. I think it's honestly, this card's probably a 6 out of 7 just because it is a Rebel Transport 3-cost 3/4. It's solid stats. It's not terrible. Every version of Sabine can play this that's playing Rebel stuff. Leia can play this. Super stoked about that. Every heroism deck can play this. It's pretty cool. Yeah, 6 out of 7 for me. All right, Tandem Assault. This is a 1-cost command event. Attack with a space unit. If you do, attack with a ground unit. And that ground unit gets +2 power for this attack. It's just another, we've been getting a few different versions of Rebel Assault. This is a pretty solid one because it's not tied to just heroism. It just wants you to have a space unit and a ground unit. And yeah, and then the ground unit will get a +2 power boost, and it's for 1 cost. I think this card is going to be pretty good. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 7 just because I'm not I think it's good, but once again, this is the 4th set. It's going to be hard. It's going to continue to get harder and harder to refine your decks and fit cards in your deck. So we'll see if it fits. Next, we have no disintegrations. I'm simultaneously like quite high on this card, and then also this card isn't like that insane, but I think it's cool. It's a 3-cost red villainy event, and it says deal damage to a non-leader unit equal to 1 less than its remaining HP. So yeah, the event basically says put a unit to 1 remaining HP. It has to not be a leader unit though. Understandable. If this could hit leader units, that'd be absolutely insane. But I think it's pretty solid because there are actually a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of ways these days to deal that last damage. Whether it's a Salacious Crumb, it's an Emperor effect, it's Elite P38, it's a Greedo, it's just a droid token, it's Darth Vader's leader ability, Cad Bane ping, even just a McClunky effect. I don't know. I think it's pretty solid. I think there's sometimes there are some decks that they have like this ping damage, but they don't have like strict like solid removal for huge things. And this kind of gives you a way to combo to get rid of some huge things. And like even in Bosk, they've got a big ship or something. You can put the ship to 1, put a bounty on it, and then ping it for 1, and then it dies, and you get your bounty. I don't know. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 7 though. I think it's pretty good. Yeah, it's 5 out of 7. Oh my goodness, we are almost at the hour mark. If you've made it this far, leave a comment. 5659. You're a legend for being here. Thank you so much. Planetary Bombardment. This is a 6-cost legendary red event. And it says deal 8 indirect damage to a player. And if you control a capital ship unit, deal 12 indirect damage instead. Yeah, that is wild. Once again, indirect damage, your opponent gets to assign it, unless you have the new Devastator up, which in case you get to assign it. But Devastator into a planetary bombardment is like GG, I feel like. You're dead, I feel like, if that happens to you. And the crazy thing that can happen is your opponent could like triple Dark Raid out the Devastator and oh my gosh, and hit you in the base for 9, deal 4 indirect damage to you, and then next turn you I don't know, you play it again with a sneak attack. Oh my gosh. And then the next turn, if you have any other capital ships left, you play planetary bombardment, you're dead. You're just so dead. It's crazy. 12 damage. I feel like almost never is there even like 8 damage, or not 8 damage, 12 damage on my board to do. So like that's going, so much of that's going to the base for sure too. This is a solid finisher card. I think it's crazy. All right, never tell me the odds. Discard 3. Okay, this is a 3-cost Cunning Heroism event. Discard 3 cards from an opponent's deck and 3 cards from your deck. Deal damage to a unit equal to the number of cards with an odd cost discarded this way. I have no idea. Discard 3 cards from an opponent's deck and 3 cards from yours, so you can do up to theoretically 6 damage to a unit if all 6 of those cards have different odd costs. So you have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. That's not ever happening. That's literally never happening. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. That's not happening because they have to all be odd cards. Wait, unique. No, it doesn't say they have to be unique. Is it just odd in general? Just an odd cost in general. Okay, never mind. Maybe it can happen. Oh my gosh, I thought it was kind of synergizing with that Han effect, saying that they had to be unique odd costs. I was like, that's never gonna happen. This is trash. No. Well, if you're playing this exclusively in the Han deck, I mean, you're at least gonna do 3, and your opponent probably has and a lot of decks play like 15 odd cost cards, so there's a good chance this is at least open fire. It's probably at least an open fire. And yeah. Is that what Cunning wants? Maybe. I'm not sure. The art is pretty cool here. I kind of like it. This depiction here is pretty cool of this cockpit. And the C-3PO is looking really great. 4 out of 7. 4 out of 7. I don't know. Waylay is so good. Yeah, I don't know, just 4 out of 7 there. And then here's It's a Trap. This is the card I was talking about earlier. 3 cost, Cunning, Heroism unit, event. If an opponent controls more space units than you, ready each space unit you control. So, if they've got 3 and you've got 2, you can ready 2 spaceships, which is pretty crazy. But even if you just have 1 giant one, and your opponent has 2, there's a chance this could be like a type of a finisher. Excuse me. Even if it's mostly would work in an Admiral Akbar deck, but I don't know how great that's gonna be. But I can imagine, you've got home 1 on the board, you hit your opponent in the base for 7, and you heal 7, and then you play this because your opponent has more spaceships than you. And then you ready it again, and you hit them for 7, and you heal 2 again. Outside of that scenario, I can't imagine this does anything. This would have to be for a deck that's trying to do that, and probably also might be a sneak attack deck as well, I imagine. And yeah, that's it. Did I give a rating for this last card? Yeah, 4 out of 7. And then It's a Trap. I'll give it a 3 out of 7. It could possibly be better, but 3 out of 7 for me. Oh my gosh. Well, that is, oh my goodness, that is it for this video. We broke the 1 hour mark. I don't know if anybody's gonna watch this whole thing through. Once a video hits over an hour, people are skeptical. Hopefully you watched this in the 1.25 times speed, hopefully. You saved some time. But anyways, thanks for being here. Thanks for spending your time here. Once again, I appreciate you. I'm so close to, if you really made it this far, I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers. If you're not subscribed yet, if you could just hit that subscribe, that's it. That'd be so cool. I'd appreciate that. Once I get to 1,000, I'm not gonna I'll never ask for a sub again. Okay. I really don't think so. So, all right, see ya. That's it.